Hey, welcome to a new video. Have you ever been to a place with a grim atmosphere? Most people would rather not stick around these kinds of places. Are you new to this channel? Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And before we start, also like the video. For about 500 years, the Forbidden City served as China's political and ritual center. It housed 24 emperors. Today it's home to countless restless and vengeful spirits. The first recorded sighting of a ghost dates back to the 1940s. Among the city's ghostly inhabitants is a sobbing woman in white who wanders over the grounds. There's also a black-clad, faceless spirit woman, first seen in 1995, who turns around to talk to you. As many of you will know, in 1986 there was a nuclear disaster at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in the Ukrainian city of Pripyat. An amusement park was supposed to be here on May 1st, 1986, but these plans were cancelled when a nuclear explosion occurred a few kilometers away. As a result, radioactive particles were released into the air. Everyone had to evacuate from the area, and the playground was all abandoned. Just as in any other deserted place, there are rumors of ghosts wandering around. In 1997, a story came out about a man called Andrei Karganov. Together with his colleague, he was doing a radiation measurement near the nuclear power plant. Although he couldn't enter the building because of the high radiation, he heard screaming noises coming from inside. Later that evening, they also saw lights going on and off in one of the rooms. At first, they thought it might be a power failure, but this turned out not to be the case. There would also be stories of UFOs circling above the area just after the explosion. Some people even saw that the UFO was controlled by extraterrestrials. Skinwalker Ranch is a large 1.250 square mile or 2,000 square kilometer property near the small town of Ballard, Utah. The name Skinwalker Ranch comes from the ancient Navajo culture, in which a skinwalker is a kind of witch who has the ability to turn itself into an animal. According to ancient stories, a family is said to have lived here who experienced unexplained and eerie events. While living on the ranch, they would see shadowy figures walking around, as well as frightening voices from strange animals. Then, since the 1950s, there would also be multiple reports of UFOs and extraterrestrial activity. In 2016, billionaire Robert Bigelow bought this place and hung up all the security cameras, and allowed only a few people to access. People claim that he bought the place to study the mysterious events. In 2013, a movie was also made that is kind of based on all these stories. The Alamo in San Antonio, USA is a haunted place that has seen great brutality over the centuries, and where sometimes bones are still being excavated. This is where the Battle of the Alamo took place, a siege during the Texas War of Independence. Between 1724 and 1793, it served as a cemetery. Now, more than 1,000 people are buried there, including the remains of soldiers who died there. The Shaft is a small hole in Australia and is known as one of the most unique sinkhole caves in the world. The hole is located near a paddock, a small field where horses are kept. In 1983, this hole did not even exist. It was accidentally discovered by the horse of a man named Don Kerr, who lived nearby. The man decided to get a rope and examine the hole. He found out that the hole, which was only 0.3 centimeters in diameter wide, went about 45 meters deep. It wasn't until years later in the 1960s that divers started exploring the underwater caves. Soon the Shaft became an exciting dive site for divers, and according to them, there's even a tunnel in the cave that goes even darker and deeper. As you might have guessed, there were divers who went too far and got lost and couldn't find their way back. The story goes that there's a castle in Romania that is said to have belonged to Count Dracula. The castle is actually called Bran Castle, and it's a national monument in the southwestern part of Brasov in Romania. Dracula is just a fictional vampire by Irish author Bram Stoker. But Bram's Dracula character was actually inspired by a real person named Vlad Tepes. Some stories claim that Vlad was once present at the castle, and even spent a night or two there in the 14th century. However, evidence of this was never found, and in the 1960s, the government in Romania thought they could boost tourism in the country by finding a place that could be associated with Dracula. So they finally decided to choose the Bronze Castle. It was Queen Mary of Romania who actually lived in this castle between 1920 and 1938. According to legend, Solomon, who according to the Hebrew Bible was the last king of Israel, once captured a defiant demon right here. Welcome to Solomon Prison, also known as the Demon Prison. This is not a traditional prison, but a conical hill with a hole in it. Whoever decides to enter it will meet their end, or according to folklore, be seized by the demon's hands. The story becomes even scarier when you know that sacrifices were made at this place between 224 and 651 AD, during the Sassanid dynasty. In the middle of the desert, about 85 miles or 137 kilometers from Salt Lake City in Utah, is the Dugway Proving Ground, a facility where the US military tests biological and chemical weapons. According to many stories, the most powerful and dangerous weapons in the world are being built here. Other people, however, believe that this is the real Area 51 and that aliens are hiding here. This is because it's a very secret place, and very few people know about it. People coming from other countries are not even allowed to go near this facility. The History Channel had made a documentary about this place and interviewed local people who claimed that they saw strange lights and UFOs flying by in the sky at incredible speeds. However, whether the stories are true remains a mystery, but who knows? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. In August of 2016, a man walked past a local playground in Mexico. When he saw something moving at one of the playgrounds, he grabbed his phone and started filming. The video shows the mysterious creature standing on top of one of the playground equipment. When we analyze the video, we see that the creature notices the camera and jumps down and runs away. Many people in the reactions thought this creature was the Rake, a kind of humanoid monster that many believe to exist. If we look closely at the video, we see that the creature also had a long tail and its eyes seemed to radiate light. Unfortunately, nothing's been observed since then. Shimla-Kalka route in northern India is home to many tunnels. One of the longest only goes straight through and takes you about 2 minutes to travel through. The tunnel is said to be haunted by Colonel Barog, a railroad engineer who took his own life. According to people who have been there, Colonel Barog would haunt the tunnel and chat with tourists. Every time the government tries to shut down the incomplete tunnel, it never seems to be successful. In the port of Long Beach, California in the United States lies the RMS Queen Mary. This is one of the largest ships that crossed the North Atlantic Ocean from 1936 to 1967. It was also regularly used as a troop transport ship during the Second World War. This was also the reason why there were stories of paranormal events going around. This ship was even said to belong to one of the most ghostly places in America. The people who have told the stories and have experienced something say that many ghosts wander around the ship. The man who worked in the engine room of the ship said he saw a ghostly woman at the pool area several times. When the RMS Queen Mary didn't go out to sea anymore, it was converted into a tourist attraction with a hotel. Guests who stayed in the stateroom B340 claimed that they often heard someone knocking on the door in the middle of the night. Others say that the bathroom doors slammed shut and that the blankets were pulled off the beds. The Screaming Tunnel was an eerie tunnel which is located in the north of Niagara Falls in Ontario, Canada, near Warner Road. It was built in the 19th century and was initially created as a drain for water coming from the farmlands. The tunnel was also used to safely transport animals and goods. According to many spooky stories, you might hear the screams at night from a ghost girl who died here 100 years ago. There's different versions of the story detailing exactly what is said to have happened, but they all end with an eerie scream coming from the tunnel. Many locals believe that the tunnel is still haunted today, and that orbs of light also linger there. It's said that you especially should not go to the tunnel at night, because this is when the paranormal activity is observed. Would you dare go to this place? Let me know in the comments. The Kawahiva tribe are indigenous people who live in the Brazilian Amazon forest. With this tribe, there has reportedly never been contact, and they have refused contact with outsiders several times. They prefer to not get any help, and you can't blame them. The Kawahiva tribe are hunters and nomads who travel around to survive off what they can in the rainforest. In 2013, some loggers came across a member of this tribe, and they managed to capture him on camera. Most likely, he was searching for food or gathering materials. It seems that he was walking unsuspectingly through the forest and didn't notice that he was being filmed. Unfortunately, there is also 90% illegal logging in this area, and this is a major problem for the tribe's habitat. This could possibly mean that the indigenous tribe is slowly becoming extinct. The Tevennec Lighthouse in France is supposed to be a place of safety, but it's more like a hell on earth. According to mythology, any boat without a motor is mysteriously and violently taken by the current. The lighthouse keepers suffer the most from the curse. One of them is even said to have been driven mad by the voices telling him to leave. According to many tourists who have been there, it's better not to visit the Gomantong Cave, especially not on an empty stomach. The Gomantong Cave system is a cave system in Gomantong, Sabah, Malaysia. What this place is known for are the numerous bats, of which it's thought that there are more than 275,000. With such a large population of bats, you'll encounter a lot of dried bat droppings. So it's not strange that this huge cave has an unpleasant smell. The cave's also home to other animals, including large numbers of cockroaches, but there's also snakes, rats, crabs, scorpions, and poisonous centipedes that are as big as the palm of your hand. However, the cave is also known for the edible bird nests that people use to make bird nest soup. These nests are very valuable and are therefore also sold for high prices. In July 2016, a father took his children to a playground near Rhode Island in the United States. Just before they wanted to get out of the car, they saw one of the swings moving back and forth, while no one was around. When the kids noticed it, they got scared and didn't feel like playing anymore. He posted the video to his Facebook page, and in a few days, it was viewed more than 5 million times. The reactions were quite different. Some thought it was ghosts, while others thought it was the wind. It could have been the wind, but this doesn't explain how the other swings next to it stand still. By the way, this was not the only time the swings inexplicably moved back and forth. In this video uploaded to a Spanish Facebook page, you can see the swings hanging still, and from nowhere it starts moving. It was recorded by a security camera looking out onto the playground, and here we also see the second swing hanging completely still. Another video I found was uploaded in February of 2019 to a Twitter account. Here we see another swing moving back and forth while no one is in the neighborhood. The Twitter video is 1 minute long, and also we have a second swing that hardly moves at all. Could this be proof of ghostly children who want to relive their childhood? What else could it be? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Leap Castle is Ireland's most haunted castle in the world. The castle is famous for 2 rooms, the Bloody Chapel, a room above the main hall, and the underground dungeon. The history of this castle turned brother against brother and had priests breathe their last right in front of the altar, hence the bloody nickname. However, inside the dungeon are wooden nails that meant a more gruesome fate for the victims. In addition, the castle houses an elemental spirit, summoned by a woman named Mildred Darby, who became afraid of it herself. Some cemeteries harbor stories of ghosts and evil spirits, but the Stull Cemetery in the US state of Kansas offers much more than that. According to local stories, somewhere on the ground is one of the 7 gates of hell. According to local stories, somewhere on the grounds is one of the 7 gates to hell. According to local legend, there's a hidden staircase that descends directly into the underworld. This is said to have been built by Satan himself to visit the grave of his child. But the staircase isn't easy to find. The story goes that it only opens twice a year. And nearby, there are also said to be ruins of a centuries-old church claimed to have been possessed by the devil. Old maps are also said to show a certain road called the Devil's Road, which cannot be found today. It's also rumored that in the 1990s, the Pope diverted his private flight to Colorado so that it wouldn't pass over Stull Cemetery. Brian and Susan are a couple who moved into a house in Missouri, United States in late 2007. After they bought the house, they soon noticed that the house had a strange atmosphere. In fact, they found large cobwebs in the basement and thought they should just give it a good cleaning. A few days later, they found spider webs in the shower falling from the ceiling. Some were crawling over the walls, and they were even in the lamps. These were not just any spiders. They were in fact brown recluse spiders, which are amongst the most dangerous in the world. The venom is said to be more powerful than that of a rattlesnake. After they had the house inspected, an expert estimated that there were more than 6,000 spiders in and around the house. The couple sued the previous owner for never disclosing the problem, and the family left the house for fearing their safety of their children. In this video, you see a woman sitting at a table on a chair on the side of a playground. She sits on her phone and is being filmed for some reason. It looks like the person is filming the playground from a house or building on the 1st or 2nd floor. The video shows a number of playground equipment, and when the camera moves towards the woman again, we suddenly see a shadowy figure on the ground next to one of the ladders. The strange thing about this is that no one seems to be attached to the shadow at all. The figure looks like a human being, but it can also be another kind of creature. Whatever it is, in my opinion, this video is very strange and quite frightening. The limestone hill is recognizable by its magnificent temple, but its history and the statues inside will give you goosebumps. Phnom Sorsor, as the hill is called, is home to several caves, including the Killing Cave. Here lie the remains of 1.7 million Cambodians, sent there by the horrific Khmer Rouge regime between 1975 and 1979. Now statues reenact some of the scenes where doctors, teachers, men, women, and children were brutally robbed of their lives. Most people have probably heard about the French catacombs of Paris. In Ukraine, they have their own catacombs, with a network of underground tunnels located under the city of Odessa. Odessa's catacombs are about 930 miles, or 1,500 kilometers long, and consist of a maze of corridors that lead to cellars and graveyards. The tunnels are divided into 3 levels and reach a depth of 200 feet or 60 meters. In the past, many of these rooms were used as bomb shelters during World War II. Years later, however, the tunnels were used by thieves who created their own corridors. So it's not advisable to explore the tunnels on your own, and only a small portion is open to the public. The rest of the tunnels are unsafe because not everything has been mapped. In the past, there have been several people who took the chance, got lost, and eventually died of dehydration because they couldn't find the way out. The Mermaid Cave near Nanakuli Beach Park on the west coast of Oahu, Hawaii, has attracted many tourists because of its mysteries. The place has hidden tunnels and secrets that some local people themselves are not even aware of. However, not much is known about its history. The inhabitants of the island also don't know why the place got the name Mermaid Cave. One theory says it's because of the rumor that mermaids visited the sea caves when the moon was high. It's quite risky to reach the place to get there. Tourists have to pass through a rough terrain with lava rocks, or they can choose to snorkel around the beach to the cave. However, the second option is not recommended during high tide because the strong waves can easily push you to the pointed edges of the cliffs. The Mermaid Cave is also quite dangerous, especially when the water level goes up. Some people who stayed in the cave too long didn't survive. The Black Mountain, located in Australia, has a very interesting nickname, namely the Bermuda Triangle of far north Queensland. Ships and planes disappearing at sea is understandable, but people, horses, and cattle on dry land? It's creepy. Mountain is also a sacred battleground where wars were once fought. According to stories, irreverent visitors would be followed to their homes by ghosts. One man said he was tormented by devils and ghosts and even regretted ever visiting the Black Mountain. America's home to more than 3,000 ghost towns, and Centralia in Pennsylvania is one of the most interesting. This deserted city lies under an underground fire that has been burning since 1962. Centralia was a coal mine in a mining area and is one of the main sources of income in the city. However, as a result, many people decided to leave the city and many of the buildings were gradually razed to the ground. How the fire started is still a big mystery. The fire goes down to a depth of 90 meters and stretches over 13 to 15 square kilometers. Experts say it could continue burning for more than 250 years. In 2017, there were only 5 residents left in Centralia. According to them, the scariest thing that can happen is that a sinkhole opens from nowhere. Toxic gases and smoke are still coming out of the ground. Yet Centralia will always be their home for these residents. The Winchester Mystery House is one of the most haunted houses in America, located in the city of San Jose. The huge villa was formerly occupied by Sarah Winchester and her husband William from 1884 until 1992. For 38 years, the house was continuously expanded. It has about 160 rooms, including 40 bedrooms, 950 doors, 6 kitchens, 3 elevators, and only 1 shower. The strangest thing about this house is the doors and stairs that lead nowhere, multiple trap doors, windows and walls between rooms, and even a room that is completely sealed off from other rooms. According to Sarah, the house was said to be full of ghosts of people who had fallen victim to an evil man. Other stories say that the rooms were built for the ghosts to keep them happy. In the past, this house is said to have been even larger, having 6 levels, half of which had perished in an earthquake in 1906. Shortly after Sarah's death in 1922, the house became notorious for all sorts of ghostly sightings. Hashima Island is a deserted island about 9 miles or 15 kilometers off the coast of Nagasaki in Japan. It's also popularly called Gunkin-jima. Gunkin means battleship and Jima means island. This 6.3-hectare deserted island also looks like the shape of a Japanese battleship from above. The island was established in 1887, and according to various stories, it abused Korean citizens and Chinese prisoners of war by forcing them to work in the mines under cruel conditions. By 1974, however, the coal reserves were so depleted that the facility was eventually closed and the residents left the island. It has remained abandoned ever since. In 2015, UNESCO recognized it as a historical importance of Hashima. And today Hashima Island is one of the tourist spots of Nagasaki that many people visit every year. One thing you should never do is go to an infamous haunted cemetery by yourself, especially not the Chauchilla Cemetery in Peru, because this one takes the word scary to a whole new level. It feels like stepping into some kind of mythological place. This is because it's a Nazca cemetery full of mummified bodies, the last of which was placed there in the 9th century. It's a huge open tomb, and for 1,200 years, the mummified bodies have been well preserved. Some of them even have their skin and hair intact. Cahills Crossing in Australia may be shallow and only a few meters wide, but it's considered one of Australia's most dangerous waters. This is because it's full of saltwater crocodiles. When park rangers were questioned in 2016, there were about 120 crocodiles lurking in wait for a tasty snack. When the water rises, these crocodiles gather at the Cahills to feed on the fish that swim to the crossing. The Cahills Crossing is the only access point between Arnhem and Kakadu National Park. Tourists on their way to their destination therefore have no other choice and have to cross this river. Although there's many warning signs in the area, some people don't make the crossing. This may be due to the crocodiles or the dangerous and unpredictable currents. It's estimated that dozens of cars would sink to the bottom of the river every year. A hill with crosses should be no cause for alarm, except when no one knows who built it. The origin of Lithuania's Hill of Crosses, a piece of land with thousands of metal and wooden crosses, is still unknown. Researchers estimate it's about 2 centuries old. The first mention of it was made in 1831. One thing that can be said about it is that it's an extremely resilient place. It's been destroyed more than 4 times, and mysteriously rebuilt each time. Fox Ridge Park is located in Las Vegas, Nevada, United States. In this area, several events of ghosts are said to have been observed. According to the story, a little boy died here and his ghost would haunt one of the swings. The ghost boy would be playing here in the middle of the night because it was his favorite playground. There's also stories going around that mainly laughing sounds were observed at night. Here you can see some pictures of orbs around the swing taken by paranormal researchers. In Las Vegas, this place is quite well known as a creepy place, and in the comments of several Fox Ridge Park videos, I found stories of people who had been there. All of them seem to be convinced that this playground is indeed haunted, and that you shouldn't go there at night if you quickly get scared. Walking in Shikoku, Japan, you will find the abandoned Nagoro-do Village. It was an ordinary village 11 years ago, until it was abandoned by its residents. However, one resident remained behind, a woman named Tsukimi Ayano. Since she was the only one left in the village, she decided to put up dolls representing the former residents. Tsukimi placed more than 350 life-size dolls, all in specific places. For example, the school had puppet pupils, and by the river she had placed the fishermen's puppets. If you don't like clowns, go to the comments as soon as possible, because there are some scary clowns spotted near playgrounds. Especially in 2016, clown reports were very high, and they appeared in many different countries. These are people who disguise themselves to scare other people. This also happened in Kuala Lumpur, the capital of Malaysia. A girl named Chloe walked by the local playground at night and saw a creepy clown standing behind the slide. When she saw this, she was frightened to death. She took a picture of the clown waving at her and she ran home as fast as she could. Chloe posted the picture on social media, and a few days later, another user named Alex posted another picture of a similar clown hiding behind a tree. If I saw a clown at night, I would probably also run away, because you never know what they could do. What would you do in this situation? Let me know. The Aztecs were a Mesoamerican culture that lived in Mexico from 1300 to 1521. Among other things, the Aztec culture was known for their ritual sacrifices. It's suggested that this was done in honor of the gods. In 2015, archaeologists found a tower of skulls near the Tempo Mayor in Mexico City, which was formerly called Tenochtitlan. In the 16th century, this would have been one of the largest cities in the world, with a population of about 200,000. The city was destroyed by the Spanish in 1521, and so Mexico City was built on the ruins. Tenochtitlan is one of the most important temple pyramids of the Aztecs. According to researchers, the excavation of the Skull Tower was only part of what else was hidden. Some estimate it to be over 130,000 skulls. They were seen by the Aztec people as seeds that would ensure the survival of humanity. Archaeologists hope to learn more about the mysterious people through this discovery. The catacombs of Capucini, located in Palermo, Sicily, will definitely give you fear. It's the final resting place of some 8,000 mummified bodies, or skeletons of the Palermitans. These date from the 17th and 19th centuries, and the array of bones is either stacked on shelves or hung on the walls. The oldest inhabitant of the catacombs is Silvestro di Gubbio from 1599. The newest inhabitant is a 2-year-old child, so well preserved that they named her Sleeping Beauty. If you take a short walk through the streets of the small village of Sedlec in Czech Republic, you will surely come across a creepy church building. This is the Sedlec Ossuary, better known as the Church of Bones. This is because it's home to 40,000 to 70,000 skeletons. The bones are actually very artistically arranged, and some of these formations are chandeliers, pyramids, and even candle holders. All this thanks to Frances Rint, a local man who was hired in 1870 by the church to make something beautiful from the stacks of bones. The skeletons were kept at that time in honor and memory of the villagers who had not survived the plague in Europe in the 14th century. But before this happened, the church already had their own cemetery, which was very popular. In my opinion, it's a pretty grim place, and it's not without reason on this list. Nowadays, a lot of playgrounds are safe and well built, but this was not the case in the past. In those days, there were hardly any safety measures to protect children. In this picture from 1912, we see the Hawaitha playground that was near Seattle in the United States. As you can see in this historical photo, the constructions are very high. One wrong move and you could hurt yourself very badly. It's pretty bizarre to think that there used to be such dangerous playgrounds for children. Besides the fact that the constructions are way too high, there were also slides where you had to slide down through your armpits. This doesn't seem like a lot of fun. Who would want to play here as a child? In 1986, this playground became a monumental place, and fortunately nowadays there are normal playground equipment that is safe. The Great Wall of China is a wall over 13,000 miles, or 21,000 kilometers long, that was built in the First Qin Dynasty under Emperor Qin Shi Huangdi. According to various sources, 30% of the Chinese wall is said to have disappeared due to erosion and human activities. The walls serve as a defense system to stop other civilizations. Over the centuries, the wall was enlarged, reinforced, and renovated. Today, it's a World Heritage Site and is visited by millions of tourists. However, there's a story circulating that it was during construction that hundreds of thousands of people died and were buried in the wall. The popular legend is about a woman's husband who participated in the construction of the wall. One day, she was worried and wanted to visit him. When she arrived, she is said to have heard that he had been buried in the wall due to starvation and exhaustion. According to local people, ghostly figures regularly walk on the wall, making strange noises. This would mainly be heard around the area, known as the Wide Great Wall. America's most terrifying building is called the Waverly Hills Sanatorium. For about 50 years, it housed tuberculosis patients. The sanatorium was so isolated that it even had its own zip code, and workers were not allowed to leave. As a result, more than 6,000 people are said to be buried there. Many places in the sanatorium have a paranormal atmosphere, including Room 502, a specific room that housed all the tuberculosis patients who did not survive. In 2004, a Chinese general admitted that Beijing was on its way to build a new base on the southern coast of Hainan Island near the city of Senya. However, some things indicate that China was not just building a military base. In 2008, it was reported that video footage had been collected that shows more than military bases being built. In fact, there would be an underground facility large enough to house 20 nuclear missile submarines. More evidence appeared in 2020 when Planet Labs, a company that takes pictures of Earth, captured an image on their satellite showing a nuclear-powered submarine entering the underground base. Speculation about the underground base says that China probably plans to use the underground facility to expand its influence in international waters. But who knows what else is going on there. Christ of the Abyss is a sunken statue of Jesus Christ, located in the Mediterranean Sea. The statue is a total of 8 feet 10 inches, or 2.7 meters high, and it looks quite terrifying. But Christ of the Abyss is more than just a statue. It's a memorial to lives lost at sea. Still, it must be pretty terrifying if you're diving and suddenly come across this huge statue. Don't you agree? In 2018, a photo went viral when people claimed and spotted a ghost when they were watching Google Maps Street View near Martha Chapel Cemetery in Texas. The photo shows a pale and somewhat grayish girl hiding behind a tree, but several people noticed another figure. When we look in the distance beyond the fence, we see a blackish figure who seems to be wearing a cloak. Some say that the little girl might be a real girl and that she's made gray with the photo filter, and that the black figure is a leaf or a twig. But others think that this place is haunted. Before this picture went viral, this place was already known as a creepy place with scary stories. The Bowden Road leading to the cemetery is also known as the Demon Road because of the disturbing experiences some visitors had there. The locals also warn people not to upset the ghosts, as they're known to chase you to your home. The Tower of London is London's most haunted building and has a bloody 1,000-year history. One of the tower's most infamous ghosts is Anne Boleyn, who was executed on the king's orders. She is said to walk around with her own head. But that's not the only ghost that's said to haunt here. There's also the Countess of Salisbury and two little boys who can walk hand in hand through the walls. In September of 2008, a man drove in the night past a playground in the town of Perushka in the American state of Oklahoma. When he looked out the window, he saw something strange moving at one of the playgrounds. When he drove back a little bit, he saw something that looked like a whole family of ghosts. He took a picture, and if you look closely, you can see about 7 ghostly figures playing on some kind of small merry-go-round. Unfortunately, I couldn't find that much info about this. But the man who took the picture left pretty quickly, because he didn't dare come any closer. A year later, another picture went around on the internet of a thin creature. I have no idea if this picture is real, but if you look closely, it looks like the creature is waving at the person taking the picture. The old-fashioned Callingham Castle in Northumberland, England has a lot of scary stories. In fact, it was so disturbing that the castle was explored by many paranormal TV shows. Several reports say there's a ghost of a Spanish witch, and yet another female ghost named Lady Mary Berkeley, who will curse anyone who tries to steal anything from the castle. But the most famous ghost of this castle is Blue Boy. The reason why he's called Blue Boy is because he would always be dressed in blue. It's also said that he's crying at night, and that he shows himself when you're in bed in one of the rooms. The strange thing about this story is that the ghost boy disappeared after there were bones found in one of the walls of the castle together with pieces of blue cloth during a renovation. So many people believe that this was the reason why the little boy haunted around. Ever wonder what's the deepest hole ever dug? The Kola Super Deep Borehole is the answer, and it's said to have a pit so deep that you can hear the screams of tormented souls from hell. It was built by the Soviet Union in the 1960s and consists of several holes emerging from a central hole. The deepest, SG3, is 22 miles, or 35 kilometers deep, and the temperature is hell-like, about 356 degrees Fahrenheit, or 180 degrees Celsius. Hanging coffins can be found in several locations around the world, including China, Indonesia, and the Philippines. In Sagada, a small community in the Philippines, it has been a long-standing tradition where coffins are placed on cliffs and rocks high above the ground. Today, this tradition is still carried on, because elderly people would be afraid to be buried in the ground. They preferred a place above the ground where they would be safe. It's also peculiar that the coffins are only 3.2 feet or 1 meter long. This is because the people believe that a person should leave the same way they came into the world. So they lie in the coffin in a fetal position. In 1941, a British officer was patrolling the area around Lake Rupkund in India and found several human bones. The lake is also called the Skeletan Lake and is 3 miles or 5 kilometers above sea level. The mystery is that it's unknown to whom these bones belonged. According to folklore, the shrine of the mountain goddess Nanda Devi was nearby, and that was thought to be who to blame. But according to another story, the bones belonged to a group of merchants who got caught in a storm. Room 39 is not really a room, but according to claims, it's a secret North Korean organization whose job is to ensure the country's leader's transit fund is maintained. The fund, whose accounts are not accurate, is used for Kim Jong-un's lifestyle. According to rumors, the fund is used to maintain his yachts, purchase his cognac stock, and other extremely expensive purchases. It's estimated that Room 39 brings in about $500 million to $1 billion annually. But it may be more. The money would come from illegal activities, such as the production of counterfeit $100 bills, manufacturing, and other prohibited and illegal practices. There are also said to be more than 120 companies operating there, changing names over time. Thus, Room 39 is also a place from which it's extremely forbidden to enter. There are several haunted places on Earth, but rarely is there a unanimous agreement that the vibrations of a particular place are just not right. GP Block is just that, and it's been abandoned for decades. This place is notorious for 3 different buildings that have been taken over by nature. But the terrifying thing about this place is that it's also said to be haunted, including sightings of a woman dressed in red sitting on the roof and a group of 4 men wandering around the building. This creepy and strange playground is said to be in Tver, a small Russian town. It would be made of old scrap-like materials that have been reused. I have no idea which child would want to play here because it doesn't look too safe. Among other things, there's a chair that makes you hang upside down as soon as you sit in it. I find this device very strange, but there's also a wheel that doesn't even work and whose purpose isn't quite clear. After one turn, it stops again and you are completely turned around. I think this isn't meant for children. The last piece of equipment is in a kind of creepy big tire in which you can sit and move back and forth. I have no idea who would create such a thing, but I think it's obvious that nobody would want to play here. Jazirah Al Hamra is a town in the United Arab Emirates. Here you can find a lot of abandoned houses and buildings, including a number of mosques. In 1830, there were about 200 people living here who were mainly engaged in pearl fishing. The city was founded in the 14th century and was completely abandoned in 1968. This was probably due to sandstorms, the burning sun, and differences between other tribes. According to local people, one of the mosques was said to be haunted. They are said to have heard strange noises and seen shadowy figures, also called jinns. Rumors circulate that there are ancient ghosts roaming around, inhabiting the abandoned houses and not wanting anyone close by. The Brompton Cemetery in London is one of the oldest and most famous cemeteries in Britain. Managed by the Royal Parks, the cemetery houses the mausoleums of the city's most elite families, but the burial chamber for which the place is the most famous is that of Hannah Courtois. Her burial chamber bears Egyptian signs and symbols that are believed to conceal a time machine. The rumor was spread in 1998 by a Reuters report. From what I've been able to find, it's off limits to take a look inside the mausoleum. Other stories describe that the key has also mysteriously disappeared, and that no one's been inside it for 150 years. Since then, it's thought that a time machine or a portal is being kept hidden. I'm honestly very curious to know what's being kept inside. But unfortunately, we'll probably never find out. The island of Poveglia in Italy is said to be 50% human ash. During the Black Death, all victims were dragged here and eventually laid to rest, the number of which exceeded 160,000. At one point, illegal experiments were also conducted at the Poveglia Psychiatric Hospital. The doctor there allegedly went mad and mysteriously fell down from the bell tower. Some people claim that the doctor was haunted by evil spirits. This playground, called Dead Children's Playground, is considered by many to be the scariest playground in the world. It's located in Huntsville, Alabama, in the United States. This playground was literally built on the largest and oldest cemetery in Alabama. A few meters across from the playground is still part of it, which was called the Maple Hill Cemetery. Reportedly, more than 80,000 people are buried here. It's also reported that ghosts have been regularly spotted in and around the playground, and laughing sounds from children playing while no one is there. The fact that the playground is surrounded by rocks and trees makes this place extra grim. Paranormal researchers who have visited the playground at night have seen swings moving and ghosts of small children who have also been spotted. I wonder why this playground actually still exists, because who would let their child play here? The Bazaar Market can be found in Akodazewa, a district in Lom, Togo, in West Africa. According to various sources, this is the largest voodoo market in the world. Here you'll find a vast collection of animal heads that you can buy to use in voodoo rituals. Some pieces are also used as talismans. For most of us, this is quite bizarre. But for this community, animal sacrifices are normal and a necessity to practice for religion. Certain items, such as a voodoo doll, are also used to serve the spirits. These spirits are said to have special powers, and people believe it protects them from danger, illness, and black spells. This ancient religion has declined to a greater extent today. However, it's still done regularly in certain places. This hospital in Belitz, Germany is called Belitz-Heilstätten. It's a 120-year-old hospital that's been abandoned for about 25 years. It was built as the largest treatment center for lung diseases, such as tuberculosis, but during the First World War, it became a military hospital, and the list of patients included Adolf Hitler. According to the data, thousands of people blew their last breath within the walls of this hospital. Now that it's been abandoned for years, the guards of the building claim they usually heard strange noises during their rounds. A German woman who once visited the hospital with her friends also had an eerie experience in one of the operating rooms, when she suddenly heard someone shouting. The Paris catacombs are frankly one of the most terrifying places in the world, and not just for the 1 mile or 1.5 kilometer section open to the public. Dating back to the 18th century, it houses bones of more than 6 million people. It's said to be a relatively normal catacomb, except for the paranormal activities. It's said that you can hear voices there at midnight. One of the creepiest incidents is that of a group that went exploring and found a camera. Video footage showed a man who appeared to be lost, dropped his camera, and ran away, only to never be seen again. Airports seem to be the most unusual places for conspiracy theories, but the Denver International Airport, located in the state of Colorado, is said to have many secrets, if we are to believe the internet. These theories have arisen because people were looking for reasons why it took so long to build the airport, and because it cost more than $2 billion extra. There are said to be several underground tunnels with bunkers used by secret organizations, including the New World Order. Other theories suggest that this is where the headquarters of the Illuminati is hidden. In the airport itself, there's a lot of strange artworks and sculptures with symbols related to the Illuminati. The Thrihnukagigur Volcano in Reykjavik, Iceland is the only volcano in the world whose core can be explored by humans. It was discovered in 1974 by Arne Stephenson and opened to tourists in 2012. The tourists can go down through the crater in the direction of the magma chamber. This is because the volcano is a dormant volcano that last erupted 4,000 years ago. Although it's safe to visit, it remains a volcano that can spit out lava. To reach the magma chamber, tourists need to secure their safety lines on a cage-like elevator. The elevator system lowers tourists by 122 meters through the throat of the volcano. Would you like to visit one of these places? And what's the scariest place you've ever been to? Let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos we've made, click one on the screen or take a look at the channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.